Rams house, welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report presented by Prize Picks. As always, guys, we've got a lot to discuss coming out of practice on Saturday. Rams back in action today, second day with the pads on. And the first thing, and if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably already seen it, that we've got to discuss, guys, is another update on Aaron Donald coming from head coach Sean McVay, who I will say over the last 24 hours has been uncharacteristically forthcoming around Aaron Donald. I would not say last night we got that it's trending upwards comment, which broke the mold that we've seen of cookie cutter coach speak answers around Aaron Donald. Kind of the first time he's been like, it's moving in that direction, like definitively. That's what he said. And then he gave us a timeline even as well, obviously, to look for. I was saying August 7th. It will actually be August 8th. They do have a break on August 7th. So day off on August 7th. They're back at Woodland Hills on August 8th. So again, that would be the first day we could look for. I think I said a kind of a variety of dates last night because I was so excited about getting that news out to you guys because that was so wild. But tonight, he was speaking with CBS's Bryant McFadden. And in the clip, which is out on my Twitter, I can't show it to you guys here on YouTube, but it is over on Twitter if you follow me there. Bryant said, let's play a game. Obviously, everything you say around Aaron Donald becomes a sound bite. So instead of saying things, let's have you do reactions. So the first question that Bryant asked him was, do you expect Aaron Donald to play a game for the Rams in 2026? And I will tell you guys, the face that Sean McVay made is one of the, you probably will never see him make this face again. He opens his mouth. I'm going to recreate it. I don't clip this. That's pretty much what he did. He hit one of those. He was wearing sunglasses, so you couldn't see the eyes go with it, but they definitely did. It was like a big, wide open gasp. The second question that Bryant McFadden asked him was, do you expect to see Aaron Donald playing in the month of September, which obviously would be, the first couple weeks of the season, week 1 on September 10th? And Sean, this one was a little easier to read. He turns to Bryant and just kind of gives him one of those, you know what I mean? I do. And then the last question that Bryant asked him was, if Aaron Donald returns, do you expect him to be the dominant Aaron Donald we've seen throughout his career? And Sean at this point just said, you know what, this deserves an answer. And he answered and he said, absolutely, he will. He wouldn't come back if he wasn't going to be, which we've heard that before. But guys, I mean, could you be more of an open book from Sean McVay with some of these facial expressions, with some of these reactions? I tweeted it out. It's a done deal. It feels like it's a done deal. I'm not going to lie, guys. Just every day we get more of an indication that it's kind of a done deal. I was listening to Jake Ellenbogen talk about it today. And one of the things he said was, I think his mind is ready. He's just still getting his body there. And I think that's 100% correct. I think Aaron Donald for a long time has been in that mental state of I want to come back, but his body is still getting there. I think that's still probably an ongoing process, but I think Sean just knows he's going to get there and he's going to come back. And that's a great feeling, guys. That's a really, really good feeling. More on Aaron Donald to come, I'm absolutely sure. So make sure you're subscribed. If you're not already, we are your one-stop shop for everything around the Rams, but especially with this Aaron Donald stuff, we have covered it every step of the way. We will keep covering it every step of the way. But now we're going to transition into some practice takeaways. I want to talk to you guys about some things that we were seeing out of practice today at training camp, what they saw out of, obviously, Ty Simpson, Stetson Bennett, but then a number of other guys as well who were standing out. Bunch of things that I want to go through. But before we get to all that, guys, I've got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, and that is the good people over at Prize Picks. Guys, if you've ever watched the Rams report before or anything chat sports, then you know all about Prize Picks. But if you've never heard of them, it's time to cash in on your ball knowledge with Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app and the best place to win cash while you're watching sports. The app is really easy to use. All you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats, and you're locking in your lineup. For example, I've got a lineup going right now here, guys. This one is a season-long projection on professional football. Got Matthew Stafford in there. Davante Adams is in there. Caleb Williams is in there. And Bijan Robinson is in there as well. So you guys can tail on that lineup. You can fade on that lineup. And PrizePicks makes it as easy as ever to do that with their social feeds feature. All you have to do is drop a follow on my username, Jackson Durham, my first and last name. And you can do it with just one click. And if you're brand new to PrizePicks, make sure you take advantage of their new user offer. It's a brand new offer. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. PrizePicks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win at your first $5 lineup. Thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. As always, guys, we appreciate them. Let's return to our discussion of Rams training camp. Let's, I guess, really start our discussion of Rams training camp, since to this point we've just been talking about Aaron Donald, but that did happen at Rams training camp. They were conducting that interview out there. But let's talk about a few things that we saw out at camp. Starting with two people one who was there, one who wasn't there. So Matthew Stafford was back today. Obviously, we've talked about built-in rest days for his schedule throughout the entire process of training camp. Yesterday was one on Friday. Today on Saturday, Stafford was back out there. And we'll talk about how he looked in just one second. But before we do that, I want to tell you who wasn't out there. Myles Garrett for the second day in a row. And I did not see this get reported that he did not practice on Friday. But he didn't practice on Friday and he didn't practice on Saturday. And Gary Klein of the LA Times said that a team official, he didn't say who, told him that that was a scheduled rest day as well. And that does not surprise me, guys, because remember, and if you follow me on Twitter, I know you saw this. I know we talked about this in a couple videos as well. But earlier this week, when we were discussing Byron Young and his knee situation and the rest that was given to him, Sean McVay answered a question around that, and he used the phrase tier 1 player to refer to Byron Young. And he talked about the plan that the Rams will use for tier 1 players who need rest. Myles Garrett is a tier 1 player. Who else is a tier 1 player if Myles Garrett is not a tier 1 player for you? So this does not surprise me at all. The Rams have made it clear that built-in rest is something they see as incredibly valuable for veterans. So again, expect to see guys have days off built into the schedule like this. Don't panic when you see that. Don't get worried when you see that. It is nothing to get concerned about. I think it's just more smart decision-making from this Rams team, knowing like, hey, you know what? It's smarter to be strategic with guys like Myles Garrett, guys like Matthew Stafford, guys like Byron Young, who are obviously proven veterans, but have in the past, Myles Garrett, not really an injury situation to note specifically with him, been very healthy throughout his career. But it also, it's a toll. You've played in the league for a long time. That does take a toll on the body. So some extra rest can help you be 100% ready to go by the time the season begins. So again, I think this is smart decision-making by the Rams. Nothing to worry about there. But let's talk about what we did see. Starting with Stafford. He and Davante were cooking today, guys. You've probably seen a couple clips. The Rams themselves posted one of, and I quote tweeted this, and I said, you got to feel bad for Trent McDuffie because it's just this beautiful back shoulder ball from Stafford to Davante, and you can't be in better position if you're 22. You cannot be in a better spot if you're Trent McDuffie on this one. He's step for step with Davante Adams. He gets his hand up. He just slightly mistimes it, and it's complete because it's a perfect pass from Matthew Stafford. And there is no defense for the perfect pass. But man, what a fun rep. I encourage you to go watch it if you haven't already, but what a fun rep. And if you are Davante Adams, if you are Trent McDuffie, if you are Matthew Stafford, these are the moments that sharpen you. Those are 3 all-pro players that get to practice against each other every single day. Man, I mean, like, what is that? What do you think that does? It just makes you better. It just makes you better. You spend every day working against Davante Adams. The average NFL receiver is not Davante Adams. If practice is harder than the games, then the games just feel easy. And I think that's what it's going to be for Trent McDuffie, working against Puka, working against Davante every day in practice. Man, it's brutal. It is hard. Stafford throwing the ball, it's perfect passes. It's perfect placement from Matthew Stafford. He has just been cooking everywhere. And you've got defenders that are looking like, man, how do I stop this guy? Like, how do I stop this offense? Because these guys are just unbelievable. And so when they go out and they play in week 1 against Brock Purdy and old ass Deebo Samuel in Melbourne, it's going to feel a lot easier than practice has felt over the last couple of weeks. I feel very confident around that, guys. That's one of the biggest takeaways that I have is, and the Rams captioned the tweet, iron sharpens iron. And I think that's the definition of what we're seeing out there. We are seeing iron sharpen iron, and you just can't have better iron than the Rams have at so many different positions. And you can apply that mindset, that logic across the roster. Think about what going up, and obviously you didn't practice today, but all of the reps that Warren McClendon is getting, that Alaric Jackson is getting against Myles Garrett, like, that's the best guy they've ever practiced against. Like, it really is. Hey, Alaric, man, you know what? Alaric did have 1 year against Aaron Donald. So I would say, like, right up there with Aaron Donald for Alaric. Best guy Warren has ever practiced with in his entire career. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to make you better. It is going to improve you when you practice against the reigning defensive player of the year, when you work against the reigning defensive player of the year every single day in practice, or not every single day, because obviously he's taking the last 2 days off. But when you work against that type of player all the time on a regular basis, it will improve your skills. And again, we're just seeing these kind of equations pop up all over the place for the Rams, where all this talent you've brought in is going to make the talent you already have that much better. And I think that's something to get excited about for Rams fans. That's something that gets me really excited. But something else that gets me excited, a couple other things that we're going to talk about. Number one, it was feisty today. I heard a number of people mention that there was a little bit of chippy energy out there. And my buddy First and Tuna had told me he was looking to see some of that. He felt like Grant Stewart, the linebacker that we brought in, obviously kind of alongside Bubba Ventrone, one of his buddies from back in the day in Indianapolis, coming over to be a special teams leader and a linebacker as well. He felt like he would bring that energy because that's just kind of the person he is. He got to speak to him. And he said he was looking to kind of ignite some of that. And you could see it, according to Tuna, according to some other guys I talked to, you could see some of that chippiness today showing up in practice. Offensive linemen and defensive linemen having some extra words, some extra little pushing, some extra shoving, some extracurricular, as Al Michaels used to say back in the day. And I like that energy, man. I love that energy. I think that's exactly what teams want at this point in practice. Not over the line, but an energy of like, hey, we're here to get ours. You know what I mean? And like, we're teammates. We're here to sharpen iron, like we talked about in that last section, but we're here to do it with some fire. We're here to do it with some energy because we care about what we're doing. And that's going to show in how passionate we are, that we're going to get fired up about these things, that we're going to go a little bit over the top. We're going to play through the whistle. I love to see that from a team this early on. It shows you that energy. It shows you that, like, practice isn't getting underrated. They're not reading their own headlines like we've talked about in the past and being like, we're already the best team in the NFL. Practice is just, and it's just, we go through the motions and we clock in and clock out and just get ready for the season where we're just going to dominate all year long. No, these guys are rolling through practice like it's the games. These guys are rolling through practice with a ton of intensity. And I think Bubba Ventrone is part of that energy. I think Grant Stewart is part of that energy, but I think you're starting to see that seep throughout this team in its entirety, knowing that last year maybe that wasn't present enough in the biggest moments, and that this year that cannot be the same. Moving on, let's talk about Ty Simpson. I think he just gets better and better, guys. It gets me really excited watching what we're seeing from him, hearing what I'm hearing from people who are out there watching him in person. The confidence is building really fast. I think that's the biggest note that I've come away with so far. And that's going to have good moments and bad moments that are produced from building confidence and that gunslinger mentality that can come with being a confident quarterback. But what that shows you is, and I tweeted yesterday a clip of him and Stetson throwing in a line together, and Stetson's just getting the ball out faster every time. And I noted that, but confidence helps with those kinds of things. Confidence helps you get through your motions a little bit faster, trust your rhythm just a little bit more. And that's where that hair speed of difference that you're looking at between Stetson and Ty can really come from. A lot of that can be grounded entirely in just being more confident because Stetson's got a few more years of experience. But again, this is why Ty goes in the first round. A lot of it's up to the physical characteristics, the physical traits. He's got franchise QB traits. Absolutely. He's got that live arm. Absolutely. But what he's also got is a cerebral way of processing the game and an incredible mind. This kid loves football. He's a football junkie, self-described. And he is somebody who is just going to compete. And you're seeing that. And you're seeing that level of competition, him and Stetson Bennett going at it every day, working for these reps, battling for that QB2 job, and him having success with what he's given. It's building his confidence, and it's only improving his play. He had a touchdown pass to CJ Daniels, who we're going to talk about more in just a second today. He continues to look really good. It's not perfect. It's not perfect from Stetson either. Stetson had a couple really good throws today. Stetson had a couple misses today as well, I would say. And, a lot of the guys I'm texting with cannot speculate on the depth chart, but I can. I would say Stetson has the edge right now. I would say Stetson has the edge over Ty Simpson still slightly, but that edge, I feel like it's closing. I feel like we're seeing the gap. If the gap was like this early on in OTAs, Stetson's playbook knowledge giving him a big advantage. We're seeing that gap start to shrink a little bit. The physical traits from Ty Simpson, the physical traits, the confidence he's building, that's what's going to shrink that gap more and more and more. But what's really going to be important for Ty is, can you get that playbook knowledge there? Can you get that playbook knowledge to a point where Sean McVay trusts you? We've seen that be an issue for young guys in this offense in the past. And we know while that can be difficult for a lot of positions, it's really hard for QBs. It's extra difficult for QBs. There's a lot you are responsible for as a quarterback. So it's a process for Ty Simpson. We'll continue to monitor every step of the way of it. It's very, very exciting having a young quarterback on this team who is the future. You know what I mean? You're banking on this kid. You have invested a lot into this kid. We're going to keep you updated on what he's doing. We're also going to keep you updated on CJ Daniels because what he's doing is making plays. He's running with the second team still, guys. As expected, he's a 6th round draft pick. But if he keeps playing like this, don't be surprised if you start seeing tweets that say, instead of Ty Simpson threw a touchdown to CJ Daniels, I think in a couple days here, we're probably going to see that Matthew Stafford threw a touchdown to CJ Daniels. Matthew Stafford had a big completion to CJ Daniels because CJ is going to be running with the first team. You just keep making plays like this. You just keep showing up. Hands look great. Dude he looks like an NFL player. He looks like a pro. And for a 6th round draft pick, Lesson, you did it again, man. Les did it again. I'm not saying he's Puka. That's not what I'm telling you. But it does feel like, once again, in this vein of, obviously Puka's the banner child for it, but like even Konate last season, late round draft pick, productive receiver. I think CJ has at least that kind of potential in him this season. He's going to mimic what we saw from Konate this year. Similar vein, Terrence Ferguson, man, he keeps impressing me. Keeps looking good. He had one play, couple really good plays on air, just some really good routes that we saw from him. He just looks faster this season. He looks stronger this season. There was a play in 11-on-11s where he just kind of got beat by Josiah Stewart, who I keep talking about the guy we're going to talk about next in the section before, but it's not intentional, but it's just working out that way. But Josiah Stewart beat him pretty badly on one rep. It almost looked like, according to Tuna, that he got his foot stepped on during that rep. This was from Tuna's Substack. That during that pass pro rep, he got his foot stepped on, and that might have been why he lost it. But apparently he lost a pass pro rep. So not what you want to see there. But I think we're seeing growth in his receiving ability. And I'll continue to tell you guys this. I do feel like his usage this season is going to be more varied. We're going to see more of that hybrid tight end receiver role for him. And it's going to be really big. I think it's going to result in him being much more effective. I think it plays to his strengths a lot more. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing for Terrence this offseason is to continue building that chemistry with Stafford. If Ferguson could do that, if T-Ferg could do that, if he could take that to that next level, because like when the ball was in his hands last season, productive, efficient, but it felt like there were issues actually getting the ball in his hands. It felt like there were issues with the communication at times of him maybe even knowing where he was supposed to be on certain plays, and he wasn't in the right position, and he would come back to the huddle and Stafford would kind of coach him a little bit on like, hey, you know what, you missed this. And at the same time, it's like, it's hard to know exactly what's going on, but it felt like we saw that at times. So I'm hoping that another year in the system will take that out, that we won't see that this year, because he'll be more familiar with the playbook. Just like we talked about with Ty Simpson, it sometimes takes some extra time with Sean McVay's scheme. It's incredibly complicated. But another year in it, Ferguson's capable. You know what I mean? Like Ferguson could do this. And I think we're going to see it really come together for him this season because he's got all the traits. And we saw it when the ball was in his hands last season. That dude is tough to stop. And I really believe that this year, the whole country is going to know his name by the end of the year. The whole NFL fans around the country are going to know Terrence Ferguson's name by the end of the year. One more guy who I think is going to be a lot more known by the end of the year is Josiah Stewart. We've talked about him in the past as a breakout candidate for this Rams team, and he was looking good today as well. Heard his name mentioned by a number of people. Tuna said he just looked stronger today. He won multiple reps in 11-on-11s, including that one that we talked about against Terrence Ferguson. A lot of really good things that we're hearing around Josiah Stewart as well. And we've talked about him being important because of the uncertainty with Byron Young at the end of the day. And I don't want to say the Rams aren't going to extend Byron Young because who knows? You know what I mean? Like a lot of decisions to get made over the next weeks, months, year, even really. Almost. So if he does go, though, which is a real situation, if Byron Young ends up departing in free agency, Josiah Stewart's going to be that guy, or preferably be that guy, with 2 years left on his rookie contract across from Myles Garrett. If you don't have to go out in free agency and get a veteran edge because you could trust Josiah Stewart to be the starter next season, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. You can save that money. You can go in different directions. Maybe that's the reason why you get to keep one extra guy from the 2023 draft class, because Josiah Stewart shows himself capable. You know what I mean? I think that's huge. I think that could potentially be enormous for the Rams this offseason, feeling comfortable to maybe like, and I don't want to say like we want to let Byron Young go. That's not really what I'm saying. But like I do think Josiah Stewart could potentially give you the confidence to allow that to happen, and then use that money to keep Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson. You know what I mean? a number of names you could throw out there, but a lot of guys need new money this offseason. But I do think Stewart's incredibly important to the equation this year. As you approach 2026, there's a lot of guys that are in that role. We're going to continue to talk about practice takeaways. The Rams are off tomorrow on Sunday, so no practice tomorrow. But we'll be back in action on Monday to continue discussing everything that's going on. So I will see you guys then. As always, thank you for watching, and let's go Rams.